How many must we kill? Total domination! Ha 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 ha!
Hornet reporting. There's movement in Muri's army, my lord.
It's time! My horse!
Of course.
Why do you follow? A lady with a pistol.
My lord, if there is anyone that shall rule the lands under the heavens, it is you. And should my king permit, I shall fight by your side until that glorious day when you rule every creature in this land.
Suit yourself.
Hey, wait up!
A lot of carnage. I will be enjoying this.
My conquest is just beginning!
Lord Murray, the enemy has used the hill and taken us by surprise. All of the dirty tricks. Nice attack.
Destroy you all.
Welcome to the fucked up world of Devil Kings, the localization of Sengoku Basara. Each level has its own unique gimmick, and the gimmick for Murray's level is that his morale constantly shifts, which changes how his army behaves. When Murray freaks out, his army freaks out with him and they start running away from you and they get much less health. When Murray is more brave, his army charges straight toward you and they're much more competent. Though regardless of Murray's personal morale, his commanders will always attack you. Anything you see on the map that's a red dot is a commanding officer of some form. Some of the commanders hold keys to gates, such as the one we just destroyed, but many of them just command soldiers. Regardless, whenever you destroy a commander, the soldiers under their command will run away in fear. This generally does not change depending on the army. The blue dots are of course your own commanding officers with their own men, and they're pretty much useless. You can save them if you want to, but there's virtually no reason to do that. You're a one-man army yourself, so just ignore your allies unless all of them are in danger of being wiped out.
My men are being slaughtered. Someone destroy quickly now!
The gimmick in Murray's level is cute, but it generally makes the level far easier than the others. Because other armies have their morale at full virtually all the time, which means they're competent all the time. Murray's army is only competent half the time, if that. But it's not like you come to this game to be challenged, and if that's why you're here, then you've made a grave mistake. So let's talk about our character for a moment, the Devil King, or Nobunaga Oda in the original game. We have two special attacks at our disposal currently. We can swipe enemies with our cape, which knocks them back. It's a very useful attack to interrupt enemies or just get them out of your way. We also have an attack that powers up our sword called Lamenting Souls, and this attack gives us more attack power the more people we kill as we collect more souls. It's a little bit overpowered, which is saying something considering we're already fairly overpowered ourselves. Each character has their own unique priming attack, and the Devil King's priming attack is his shotgun. Every time an enemy's health bar turns yellow, they are sufficiently primed, and that means that when we hit them, we will not only deal more damage, but we will fill our special Fury meter, and our combo meter will increase much faster. This wall of enemies with shields up here is an excellent chance to use our Lamenting Souls attack. We'll just use our increased attack power to tear right through them, and as you see, more and more souls are collecting around us, which means our attack is getting stronger. Again, a little bit overkill. It's worth noting that all of these attacks are not available at the start of the game, and the attacks and equipment we currently have on Devil King are something I had to earn through several hours of play. This means that you'll get to see a reasonable variety in special attacks, but not a great variety. Something you may be curious about looking at this game is, do I need to wipe out all the red dots to win the level? And the answer is no, you don't. Technically, in order to claim victory, I just need to open all the gates, head straight to Murray, and destroy him. But that's not how I want to play the game. The fun in the game is killing thousands upon thousands of soldiers, so we're going to clean every single red dot off the map. And while I'm performing cleanup duty, we have another chance to talk about this game's difficulty. This game as a whole is not difficult, that would fly in the face of the game's purpose, but some of the boss fights can be a little tough. However, in those situations, there's always the backup strategy in Musou games to fall on. We'll get to that when it's relevant. For now, let's take a look at our Fury move. Of course, in the original game, this is called our Basara move, similar to how the Musou games call it a Musou move. It's the strongest attack at our disposal and is useful for wiping out large amounts of enemies or against bosses. Primarily, I want to use them against bosses, though. Now back to the game's difficulty. It may not be difficult in general, but this localization, Devil Kings, is actually slightly more difficult than the Japanese release. As Capcom usually did around this era in video games, they upped the difficulty. The normal mode is more difficult than the Japanese version's normal mode, and the easy mode is more difficult than the Japanese version's easy mode, making our hard mode the hardest mode available when you want to play this game. These serious Sam-esque enemies that run at you with bombs are easily baited into exploding, and if you jump, their bombs will not hurt you. The jumping seems to have some very picky invincibility frames attached to it, but the invincibility frames are enough to get you away from the bombs without hurting yourself. The bombing enemies are what I call a non-standard enemy type in this game. There are a few non-standard enemy types to shake things up. They're generally more formidable than the regular soldiers and the commanders, but they can easily be cheesed out through a couple of methods. Now back to the subject of changes in difficulty. The level up system in this game is far, far slower than the level up system in the original Sengoku Basara. In the original Sengoku Basara, leveling up is a breeze, and it's fairly easy to get all your moves in a short period of time. In Devil Kings, however, leveling up is a slow, painful affair, and you want to equip a bunch of experience boost items if you can. As you can see, we've cleared out almost all of the bad guy red dots on the map, and now we just need to go and kill Murray himself. Not that this game has good guys and bad guys, it's called Devil Kings. And the intro makes it very clear that nobody in this game is free of sin. That's actually fairly on point with the Sengoku Basara franchise and the Sengoku era in Japan. There were no real good guys. That being said, the game's portrayal of certain characters, such as the one we're playing right now, are a little bit more evil than others, but we'll get into that later. So another non-standard enemy type we're about to encounter are these guys with big poles that will swing around toward us. They deal damage, not too much, but a significant amount considering how little the other enemies deal, but we can easily interrupt them with our gun. We can also simply turn the camera away from them and they will cease attacking. Either due to limitations in the programming or an intentional design decision, some enemies, when they're not on the screen, will simply cease to attack you. These enemies include the ones with big poles and the ones with giant hammers. And archers. It's especially useful to remember that if you turn the camera away from archers, they can no longer attack you because the archers will stun lock you with ease. You know, Murray's army is back at full morale right now, but if I were Murray, I would be more concerned about escaping. Granted, from the looks of the map, it seems like there's nowhere to escape to. He's kind of in a corner, which seems like a bad place to be in general, unless you're a boss fight in a beat-em-up or something like that. And I mean, if you had to point out someone on screen that looked like a boss battle right now, I'm pretty sure it would be us, not the little Shogun helmet over there in the top left corner of the map. You know, when I first bought this game, I thought that helmet was a devil icon, which I guess is appropriate, but it's the same icon in the Japanese version. I guess they didn't really need to change that.
Aha! Who do you think I am? I am the greatest warrior ever to walk these lands. Oh!
The voice acting in this game is top-notch, and if it seems stupid and over-the-top to you, trust me, it's supposed to be stupid and over-the-top. That's just how Sengoku Basara is. Devil Kings may make it more over-the-top, but that's not really a sin in a game this crazy. So the bosses in this game are a bit of an oddity.
Just promise me you will scream loud and clear, okay?
The bosses come in two flavors. They're either gimped versions of what you'd see in a player character, or they just are a player character. And as such, they're not really traditional boss battles so much as you fighting another main character. And it's a little odd, takes a bit of getting used to. As far as strategies for bosses are concerned, it mostly comes down to speed. If your enemy is faster than you, you're probably in a bit of trouble. If they're slower than you, you're gonna have an easy time. Murray is somewhere in the middle, and the Devil King is somewhere in the middle, so this battle is somewhere in the middle. The enemies are perfectly capable of blocking, but sometimes they choose not to block out of courtesy, otherwise you would never be able to finish the boss battle. This gets a little tougher in the sequels, where you have to actively choose times where you think the enemy will be open, instead of just mashing the square or triangle buttons.
I understand. You want to die. I shall return to a place whence I came.
All is mine. Mine forever. Heaven and earth under my sword.